There's nothing more wonderful than to serve the Lord Jesus Christ, because He is gracious, He is full of love, He is full of compassion and tenderness and kindness.
That's right.
Jesus Christ gives to us all that we need and all that we would ever hope to want to find in life. People today are looking in strange areas to try and find peace of mind, aren't they, Mike? I have Mike Amorobokai with me here again today from Benin City in Nigeria, Dean of the Bible College at Miracle Center. And Mike has been sharing with us for a number of occasions now regarding witchcraft in Africa. And we are finding that when people give themselves to Jesus Christ to serve and to love Him, their lives are completely changed.
That's right.
They are given a peace and a joy that they've never known before. They were in a state of bondage while they were in witchcraft, and a state of bondage when they were doing all kinds of things, worshiping idols and going into cults. People today are wanting peace of mind and peace of heart, and they think that any kind of phenomena that there is, any kind of a power that they can get, they say, well, as long as it's got some power and some phenomena, I would like it. Now, one thing that bothers me today, Mike, we've had a lot of drugs and people going into drug habits and so on, okay? And when this happens, I think if I were to say I would rather have my rathers, I think I would rather that people would go into drugs rather than giving themselves over to witchcraft and the powers of darkness. I know that drugs is not good, and I know that when people give themselves to drugs, they are taken over and they are bound by drugs. And even behind drugs, oftentimes, is the powers of darkness, deceiving people into thinking that they're going to have something wonderful, they're going to go on a nice trip, they're going to see wonderful things, they're going to do wonderful things, and they're going to become a better person. But when people give themselves over to evil spirits, to worship the powers of darkness, they're taken over even in a greater measure. Now, we were talking about, on our last time that we were together, regarding a man who wanted a lot of money. And of course, you know, a lot of people want a lot of money. They say, hey man, I'd love to be rich. I'd like to have all kinds of good things like this. But there was some strings attached to this man's wealth. Now, let's just maybe go back just a little bit and catch us up on this story of this woman that was going to lose her head.
So the woman said, okay, it was good to go for a drive. You know, a high school teacher's wife, having a pleasure ride with her husband. And so they started going. And the woman later discovered that they were going outside the town, you know, going towards the bushes and all the other things. Then he asked the husband, where are we going anyway? Just for a ride. And then he got to a spot, you know, where traffic was virtually dead. You know, nobody on the highway and no car was coming. And then just called out his wife and got the machete from behind and cut off the head of his wife. And then immediately
The man cut the head of his own wife.
The head of his wife.
Like in cold-blooded murder, like.
Cold-blooded, nothing more short of that. Look, this is not history. I'm telling you, this was 1975, not more than 1975. And it happened in Benin City. And I can give you the name of the school the man was teaching.
Well, I can believe it, Mike, because when I was over there, I saw two people laying beside the road with their heads off. You know, I mean, I'm not having trouble believing it, but boy, you know.
Yeah, because I know many people viewing this program will say, no, that cannot happen in this life, but it happened. And he dragged the body of his wife into the bush and left it there, and took the wife's head in a bag and put it in the trunk of the car. Unfortunately for him, you know, when he was coming back into the town, there was this traffic holdup, and the police was checking each car. You know, there was a checkpoint. And then during the checkpoint, he would not allow anybody open his boot, you know, the trunk of his car. And then finally, the police had to force him, and so they opened the trunk of his car, and behold, there was the head of this woman. And so he was taken to court, and it was later discovered that he cut the head of his wife to get money. And what he would have done to that thing was, you know, give the head to a native doctor, and somehow the native doctor will put the power of the devil into that head First, guess what will happen? The head will remain on, just remain like that.
You mean it won't decompose?
That's exactly the word I was looking for. The head will not decompose. He's going to put it there in a locker in his house, and every time he calls the name of the woman, money will just start pouring out from the mouth or from the ears of the woman.
Real money?
Real money.
So that he can take that.
He can take that cash and go and do business with it. Now so what really happened? Let me conclude this because there are so many down the line to talk about. And what really happened? He was taken to court. And then he was hung.
They did get him for murder.
Yes, they got him for murder, and he was hung.
Well, has there been cases where somebody did this and they didn't get caught for murder?
Oh, fine.
And they did get this kind of money?
Right. There's a man right now living in one of the cities, and this man wanted money, and there was no way he could do it. And the only way he was told to do it was get one of his little girls and use that girl to make a charm. And all she will do is, get that child and kill the child, or give the child to a witch doctor, and the witch doctor kills the child, and then does something, puts a demonic incantation on that child, and then take the child home. And the child will just be in that room, okay? He may not even necessarily kill that child, but he will keep that child in that room, and that child will remain unconscious, never eat, and just remain there.
You mean in a state of sort of animation?
Just like that, it will just be there.
Will the child be dead?
The child may not be dead, but the child may be unconscious, just knocked off. And with years, the child will die, depending on how long. You see, there are different kinds, okay? And then all he does is call the name of the girl. And when he calls the name of the girl, the money starts flowing, from the palms and from the mouth wide open and with the eyes all open, staring and seeing nothing. And so this guy did this medicine and succeeded, and this charm and succeeded. This is not strange as far as African culture is concerned.
It's very strange to me, Mike.
Yes, I know it's strange because
I've never seen anything like this before. It's very difficult for me to understand this sort of thing. There are many Christians watching right now. I know there are, and I'm sure they're sitting there thinking, "What's going on here?"
Fine. I really wanted to talk about a very popular man, Idi Amin.
Yes.
Idi Amin had to kill his wife and his first son, to get power.
Oh, he had to kill his
wife.
You know this for a fact?
Oh, I know that for a fact. Kill his wife, kill his first son. The witch doctor told him if he killed his first son, he would get all the power he wanted, and so he killed his first son. And no wonder he behaved as a lunatic. Okay, and so this man, before I came into Idi Amin's story, came in and did the charm. And it was speculated that this girl was missing, not knowing that this girl was in the daddy's room. The girl has been used for a charm. And so he prevented his wife from going into that room. All right? And so after, looking for the child and nobody knew where he was, everybody forgot. But every time this man goes into the room, he shuts his door, calls the name of the child, and money will flow. And this man started a business, of selling cars.
And I suppose the wife wondered where all the money was coming from.
She did not know. But one unfortunate day, this man did not, lock the door with the key. And guess what? This woman just, broke into that room. The woman was already beginning to suspect. Why is this man not allowing me into that room anyway? And so he got into that room and met their daughter, dead, as cold as ice, already used,
How long had she been there like this, do you know?
Months.
Months.
Right.
So in essence, the power of Satan also was manifested there to keep this body from being decomposed.
And if it was possible to go into many of these, the houses of chiefs, people who are chiefs who have titles, traditional rulers in Nigeria, in Africa, you see some very strange things.
This amazes me, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, I am astonished.
Listen.
I am you know, I come from a nice, quiet background, Mike. You know, I'm not used to talking about things like this.
Yes, but when somebody sells himself to the devil, that is what the devil does. When somebody is sold out to the devil makes sure he deals with him and ruins him totally. Jesus said, you know, he comes to kill, he comes to destroy.
You know, I think people in our country are probably not aware of what can happen to our country if we do not remain true to God.
Right.
Because, you see, this is what God said. He would give them over to a reprobate mind. He said, look, you don't want to entertain God at all in your minds. You say there is no God. You don't want to believe in God. You don't want to practice the things of God. And this is why when God said, now look, kick these people out of the land because they are destroying the people. They're worshiping other gods. And their faith is being controlled in those areas. And he said, listen, if you will believe in me, I will take you into a new land. I will give you all that your heart desires. And they said, well, listen, you know, we want this other phenomena. We want this. We want to serve other gods. And that's what they did.
Right.
And then in your own country, because they did it year in and year out, and they refused to listen to God, they gave themselves over so completely to the powers of darkness that this is why Satan is able to manifest in such a powerful way these things. And you see, we don't see it as much here. And because Canada and the United States has opened up her doors to witchcraft, to occult, you know, I am sick inside, Mike.
Oh, sure.
I'm sick inside because I know that the same thing can happen to our nation and our country if we do turn our backs on God, and we will become no different than what you're telling me about here right now.
In fact, many people have even said that in some parts of the United States, people do some horrible practices of witchcraft. And let me say something clearly here. You know, if the United States and Canada does not take time and remain in the service of God, see, the thing is going to turn the other way around. Things that were happening in Africa before will begin to happen here. And people will give themselves into killing of, you know, human sacrifices and many other things like that.
Mike, I believe it's happening now.
Fine. Okay, so, you know, this is the time of the gospel. The United States and Canada, they have got a good background from the beginning, from the time of the founding fathers until now, and they should remain in the service of God. All right? Now, because I have seen the devil destroy people's lives, and I have seen God repair, you know, recreate people's life. Take that person's life from the ruin the devil had put that person, and God makes that person a new person again.
Aren't they beautiful when you see them?
Beautiful.
I walked down the street, Mike, in Benin City, and you know, the ones that had given their lives to Jesus, they just radiated. Their eyes sparkled, their face had a special glow about them. Their appearance was different, Mike.
That's right.
You care for your own personal body. You know, you want to be clean. You want to look nice. You know, the old saying, look sharp and be sharp, you know. And that is a glory to God, because you say, listen, look what my God can do. When before they're in a state of bondage, I walked by some of those houses, people, even not far from where the Miracle Center is there, and noticed the way that people lived, you know, living in tiny little hovels, and to look at their faces, Mike, there's no hope.
No hope. Now, for example, let me talk this about Benson Idahosa. You know, in his house where he used to live before.
Let me just make mention here, for those maybe who have just, you know, tuned in for the first time today, Dr. Benson Idahosa is the founder and president of Miracle Center, and established the place in Benin City, which formerly used to be a place where witch doctors had their domain, right? And he said, look, I'm coming in to possess the land.
Right.
You're moving out, I'm coming in.
and truly he moved in and possessed it.
Yes, that's true. And he is a very well-known figure in Africa today, and he's referred to in America as the Billy Graham of Africa.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, go ahead now with your story.
Okay, and he used to live by a witch doctor. You know, his next neighbor was a witch doctor. And this man did everything possible to destroy Reverend Benson Idahosa. He did everything possible. But every time, the power of God, you know, came in and took the challenge, you know. And you see, this man had no other thing to do than to give up. Benson would go to the church and come back in the night, and in the night he will meet, sacrifices made in his in the front of his house, and many strange things, of dead animals and all this and that, charms thrown everywhere. Benson would just get out the broom and just sweep it out. And when he tried everything and couldn't do, he tried, the witch doctor tried everything to get rid of Benson, and which many people, some of his crusades, people come there, your bunny men, they come in there with with all their charms ready to fight and contend.
They would really like to kill him.
Oh yes, ready to kill him. But a lot of the time, they come there and they are slain by the power of God. And many of them come out and give testimonies like this. We came here to test Benson Idahosa, to try him and his God. And guess what happened? When he was preaching, we saw fire coming out of his mouth. And one of them, I remember, said, and that fire came straight to me and knocked me down. And many of them today are great men of God. Yeah. And this native doctor tried everything to get rid of Benson. It couldn't happen, nothing. And guess what? He had to submit to Jesus Christ.
Greater is the power of God.
See, when the scripture says, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world, God really knew what he was talking about. Okay? There's no gainsaying. Let us not fool ourselves and say there's no devil. There is a devil. But there is a greater than the devil. Jesus Christ.
Right. Mike, there is another, I don't know what you call it, a cult? What would you call it? The seraphims and cherubim?
The cherubim and seraphims.
When I was walking down the streets there, I noticed that there were some people that were all dressed in white. I mean, right from the top of the head to the soles of the feet, looking very angelic.
Right.
What do you know about these people?
These are a kind of, you see, they believe in the worship of angels. They believe in the worship of seraphims and, all those Old Testament things. But of a truth, it's an occultic sect, or it's an occultic group. All right? Now, these people go in there, and I tell you, they get all the prophecy they want to get. Some people go, you see, many women, these things are majorly connected with women.
With the women only.
Right. A lot of them are women, because, women always want to know what is the next thing, what is in the next cut, or what's going to happen next.
You feel that women are only interested in those things that are going to be for the future?
Well, very interested in
your country
future.
Only? There's a lot of people in our country that read horoscopes and they're men. Okay, go ahead, Rob.
So, there they do all sacrifices, sacrificing of the lamb and all that thing. And then they have...
They still sacrifice lambs.
Oh, sure, they
and
sacrifice
they still sacrifice
lambs.
They don't realize that the sacrifice has been paid for them once and for all.
They don't realize that the sacrifice has been paid.
They're still shedding blood.
They're still shedding blood. And even in the New Testament, the book of Hebrews says the blood of lamb and of goat cannot save. There's nothing in it. And these people are still busy in sacrificing. All right? So there's, and these people really are connected with evil spirits. Okay? And there's a lot of prophesying or soothsaying there. Some of them put themselves into strict disciplines, sleep on the floor, fast and pray, and do all those kind of things. But the real thing is that their fasting and praying and their worship or whatever they are doing is misdirected and misguided.
There you got it. It's misdirected and misguided. And not only that, but they are definitely kept in bondage to it.
Right, they are kept in bondage to it. You see, some of them dress and they don't wear shoes and that kind of thing. They say, where they are treading upon is holy ground. Yeah.
Well, if Christians today, Mike, would dedicate themselves to the power of God, as people in your country have been dedicating themselves to witchcraft, and people here too, to witchcraft and occult practices, could we not imagine what the power of God would do in the way of demonstrations, in the way of things that he would manifest his power and his glory to his people?
Sure. You see, God is very...
Well, we're playing church, Mike.
Right.
We're playing church.
That's right. God is ready to manifest his power. Very ready. But the thing is that, the people in the church, or some of people who are really churchgoers, they're not really serious with God. They don't mean business with God.
They have never really come out and committed their lives. Right. They just want to go to church and say it's nice. Mike, I want you to come back next time. I know you've got some more to share with us. So why don't you come back and join us, because I feel that there's still much more that we can learn about these witchcraft practices in Africa and that the power of God is able to deliver.